So I guess if you're going to talk about the 10 Commandments, the most important thing you have to ask yourself is this, whether you know it or not. You need to ask, who is it that issued these commands? And it's really amazing when you think about it that there's a God who spoke and the universe sprang into existence. And that same God said, let there be you. And there was you. And this God is not only infinitely powerful, he's infinitely personal. He's your heavenly Father. He loves you. He's for you. And he gives us these commands not because he's a wrecker of fun, but because he's a bringer of blessing. It's not an arbitrary list to catch us doing something wrong. It's a group of invitations to invite us into something right. And so today I want to kind of look through that lens as we jump into the fourth commandment. This is the longest of the 10 commandments, and it says this: observe the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Work 6 days and do everything you need to do, but the seventh day is a Sabbath to God, your God. Don't do any work, not you, nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your servant, nor your maid, nor your animals, not even the foreign guest visiting in your town. For in 6 days God made heaven, earth, and sea, and everything in them. He rested on the seventh day. Therefore, God blessed the Sabbath day. He set it apart as a holy day. See, there's something I know about you, and something that I think God knew about you and me, is that there's a reason why the fourth commandment is the longest of the 10 commandments, is because he knew that you were going to need some convincing. He knew that you were going to need some explanation. He knew that you were going to need some reassurance that your rest actually does matter. And so what I want to do today is I want to call us into something kind of radical. I want to call us to live a life as if our rest actually matters. So God starts out and he says, observe the Sabbath day to keep it holy. So what does it mean to observe something? Well, quite literally, it means just take a look. And specifically, observe one of the days in your week and keep that day as a Sabbath day. Keep it holy. And what does holy mean? Well, holy means set apart. Set apart. And how is it different? Well, let's continue reading. Work 6 days and do everything you need to do. But the seventh day is a Sabbath to God, your God. Don't do any work. Your rest matters. We need to rest our body, we need to rest our mind, and we need to rest our soul. So first of all, you need to rest your body. One way that I know that we can all do that is sleep. So try to rest your body by sleeping in a little bit if you can, by having a nap. And then I don't know exactly how you rest your body. For some people, they say, man, going on a run is so restful for me. I love it. Man, if that's what you love to do, then do that. Number 2, we need to rest our mind. And I think there's one way that we should do that no matter who you are. You should try to spend some time in silence and solitude. And I think while you're spending time in silence and solitude, you should probably ask yourself this one question: how am I doing? Like, how am I really, really doing? And I think there's part of us that we think, man, I don't even want to go there. I don't want to ask the question. And what I want to suggest to you is whether you ask the question or not, the results, the answer to that question is going to play out in your life either way. So if you ask yourself that question, you realize that you're feeling certain ways that you don't want to feel, you can begin in those moments to say, okay, so what's next? How else do you find rest for your mind? Well, I know some things that you want to avoid. You want to avoid fear. You want to avoid anger, and you want to avoid jealousy. So how do you do that? I'm not exactly sure how you do that. But I know for me, there are certain kinds of media and social media that kind of tempt me to feel angry, to feel fearful, or to even feel jealous. So I would steer clear of those things on your Sabbath. So you want to find rest for your body, rest for your mind, and finally rest for your soul. Psalm 62 says this: my soul only finds rest in God. Jesus said it this way in Matthew chapter 11. Are you tired? Worn out? Burnt out on religion? Come to me, get away with me, and you'll recover your life. I'll show you how to take a real rest. Walk with me and work with me. Watch how I do it. Learn the unforced rhythms of grace. I won't lay anything heavy or ill-fitting on you. Keep company with me, and you'll learn to live freely and lightly. What I want to suggest to you is that the fourth commandment is not an allowance God made for those people. What I want to tell you is that the fourth commandment is an invitation that God extends to all people. And what I want to say to you is that when we decide that we're going to observe our week, observe this day, and do our best to rest our body, to rest our mind, and rest our soul, the impact won't just be on that day. We'll carry with us a body, a heart, a mind, a soul inclination towards rest for the rest of our week. And it's amazing how few of us do that, because we read Matthew 11, 28 to 30, and we think, Jesus came to give rest to my soul, that I could live freely and lightly according to the unforced rhythms of grace. And I get that, right? I think to myself, yeah, that's true. Theologically, that's so true. That Jesus came and did for me what I could never have done for myself. That Jesus lived and he died and he rose again. And just before Jesus died, he said, it is finished. You don't have to strive. You don't have to perform. You don't have to earn it. That salvation is not achieved, that it's received. And we get that. We do. We understand that. We embrace it. We celebrate it. But what's absolutely shocking to me is the amount of people, and I include myself in this, who can spend our whole lives believing that it all depends on Jesus, and yet live our whole lives as if it all depends on us. See, the fourth commandment says your rest matters. It's not an allowance for those people. It's an invitation to all people, because the stakes are really high. If you don't give yourself a break, you will not give others a break. Like Jesus said it this way, love your neighbor as yourself. And like, I don't want you to love me like you love you. Because here's the truth. When you look around you, do you want to talk to other people like you talk to you? Do you want to treat other people like you treat you? Because the people closest to you, you will always end up treating the people closest to you like you treat yourself. You can fake it with people that aren't close to you, but you're always going to end up treating the people closest to you like you treat yourself. Well, because we demand so much of ourselves. That our value is established by what we do, 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 that if anybody does something wrong, we can't compute it because we end up treating them like we treat ourselves. Can you imagine the family? Can you imagine the church where we look and say, wait a minute, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to rest in the mercy and the grace and the unconditional love of Jesus. And as I do that, I'm going to extend to you, my brother, my sister, my friend, my spouse, my children, I'm going to extend to you mercy and grace and unconditional love. Could you imagine the way that our marriages could change? The way that our families could change? The way that our church could change? In 6 days, God made heaven, earth, and sea, and everything in them. He rested on the seventh day. Therefore, God blessed the Sabbath day. He set it apart as a holy day. See, here's the truth. God didn't take a rest on the seventh day because he needed it. God took a rest because you need to rest. And he knew that you did.